President Trump's 2016 victory was brought about in no small part by the support he received from America's working class. Now, our next guest says that's no surprise, that elites have long failed to understand and appreciate the massive group that makes up the white working class, a group who have proven to be, in her words, a potent political force. Joining me now, UC Hastings professor and author of White Working Class, Overcoming Class Cluelessness in America, Joan Williams. So, Joan, it's great to see you. Appreciate you joining us tonight.
Well,
I'd love you to just define for us what you mean by class cluelessness.
Well, first of all, who's this white working class? They're really the middle 53%. They're really the middle class. And Americans in the past 40 years have gotten to know a lot about the poor and a lot about other groups. But the working class really has fallen from view in a very significant way, and people don't know much about them. And exactly at that time, the middle America was falling behind economically in ways that have made them truly infuriated. So that was an annoying situation, and I think that's what we heard in Trump's election.
So who's been clueless about this? Who are you talking about? Who's failed to spot this?
I think that, you know, it's funny, I've been on book tour in both the United States and the UK, and I think the UK understands how to talk about class a lot better than the US. I think in the US, elites very broadly have been pretty clueless that there are society, for example, I'll give you an example. The American elite earning, say, $200,000 often refers to themselves as upper middle class. And one of the messages is, you know, by the way, if you're earning $200,000, you are not middle class. You are about the top 6%. The true middle class in the United States has a median income of about $75,000 a year.
So why do you think that the experience and the kind of policy needs of the group you're talking about was off the agenda for so long? What actually explains that? I mean, the data is there, the stories are there, people can see it if they spend time in those communities. Why were people so clueless?
Yeah, well, the working class used to be at the center of certainly the Democrats' vision in the 40s and 50s. And then starting in the 60s, Democrats' attention shifted more onto poverty and then race, and then issues I've worked on my whole life, race and gender. And when attention shifted, I think they shifted away from understanding solid, hardworking, middle-class Americans' life, and really the values that drive that life, the value of self-discipline that it takes to go to a not very glorious job every day for 40 years in a row. So I think that they really began to lose an understanding of what life looked like for these people.
And so do you think this is what, I know you've been very critical of some of the comments that have been made by Democratic leaders, for example, during the election campaign, the deplorables comment. Is that the kind of thing you're talking about in terms of just not understanding this experience?
I think that that's a good example. And I think another example, and I'm a Democrat, full disclosure, but I think the metaphor of the glass ceiling, what is the glass ceiling about? It's about that high-status women should be able to get the same jobs as their high-status husbands. The middle class actually doesn't care. They don't care about that. What they want is the kinds of jobs that their parents had, not necessarily glorious jobs, not necessarily even required college degrees, but they want the kinds of jobs that lead to a solid middle-class life. You know, a generation ago, about 90% of American kids were doing better than their kids, their parents by age 30. Now that's fallen to about 50%. People see the American dream slipping from their fingers, and understandably, they're just not happy about it.
Well, thanks so much for setting that out.